On a daily chart, XRP right now has a close for the day, and we can actually see that the price didn't actually make a higher high here. We were expecting like this would be the continuation pattern. Now we got the bounce for sure, but it did not actually make a higher high like this. So the divergence is being built there. Now, yes, we can go on to a short-term chart which would give us more details, and that's where things get a little bit more interesting, right? The price came to test the recent resistance, but the RSI shows you I'm diverging. I don't actually care about that. Strength is reducing, right? So now we see the price is slowly correcting back down. So if you're actually looking at short-term charts like this, say for example, while you look at the chart on an hourly, you kind of see like the price is slowly correcting back down. It's doing the ABC. We need to see where we find a support. If we find that support here, that's still maintaining the bullish sentiment in the market. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Great, but again, that's on an hourly chart. But then you actually zoom out to look at this on a 4-hour chart, and you see like, yeah, we are correcting down, but we still have a big range here from 0.5 towards 0.53. That's going to be a tough range to see which direction we actually break to. Because if we manage to break to the upside, things actually change quite heavily. Because then we see a continuation pattern here which goes in through that. Why? Because we just had a corrective channel which broke to the upside. Now you are moving higher. So if you actually get a breakout here, now yeah, you're looking for something close to 0.6, which is going to be a little bit of resistance range as we talked before. But in the meantime, XRP Bitcoin does show you this as a fact. Now, yes, majority of the trading for XRP happens in USDT pair, but neglecting the fact that, there are trading pairs like Euro, Korean Won, Binance USD, all these are the fiat currencies, then the Bitcoin, the Ether, all those other currency pairs, that also happens in the market, right? So that's why we are looking at the sentiment like, okay, let's look at the another sector, which is Bitcoin, right? XRP to Bitcoin. And that's why we see, okay, we're getting a pattern here which suggests XRP can run against Bitcoin up to 30%. But yes, even though it's a rounded bottom, you need to understand there is a possibility that this can also happen, a cup and handle pattern, right? It also comes under the rounded bottom pattern. So what are we really looking at, right? Things are changing, but it all looks like what Bitcoin does, the market follows to an extent. But that's where XRP right now suggests, yeah, to an extent that is true. However, I'm building strength against this market, right? Look at what XRP has done in last 3 weeks while you look at the weekly chart of Bitcoin. If you look at last 3 weeks, it's been mixed. You've been fluctuating in the same range. You didn't actually move up much, did you? No. And then you actually come on to look at XRP against Bitcoin, and it shows you, nah, I actually moved up against Bitcoin. So now you're starting to get a trend where you already broke the previous highs. Now, to reduce the noise, take the line chart. And it shows you the fact that, yeah, we broke that to the upside. And we are getting closer and closer to the weekly close. And that is going to be interesting here, because once you understand that, okay, something is changing, and that change is going to actually push you to the upside, and you have some room to the upside, that shows you XRP can actually run higher. But the primary question here is, are we actually going to drop below some big support range before we actually run higher? When you're on a daily chart, this is what you're actually observing. You actually got the first leg, you're doing the second leg, maybe you're going to do this third leg here, complete that. And if that third leg happens to be shorter like this, then that definitely means like, okay, someone is actually backing out, right? And on the daily chart, you can see like there is a divergence forming here. That doesn't actually sound really great, because usually you get another leg to the downside after that, right? So be prepared for the market action. Sometimes it can actually surprise you. So don't go highly leveraged. Let's actually bring this home. While we look at the divergence formation as we posted in the group earlier, that is still working on. And then we look at the market and see like XRP is having a lot of volume, right? When one of my viewer actually highlighted the fact that we have a lot of volume here in XRP, I was like, is that true? Where is that coming from, right? And it shows you like B to BX. And I'm like, okay, what is that? That's actually a FIU registered institution, licensed institution in Estonia. And then I go look at the coin stats to see the volume of XRP. It shows like 1 billion. Then I go to coin market cap. It shows the volume here is 1 billion. So there is some discrepancies there, right? There is. But yeah, what we have to look at is the price action. Now, we all understand that the news, the narrative, it's been moving along, right? It's been moving along. And this one actually gives us even better perspective of like, okay, what's wrong with Ether? Now, for those who have been in the XRP community already understand that's a broken network. Right, that's positive for us because once the majority understand that, they'll have to move on to something better. Now, I'm not saying everyone is coming onto the XRP ledger, but we do have some possibility. But to get on with that narrative, we first need proper clarity in the regulatory side for the entire ecosystem. And it seems like they are working on it. They've been working on it for a very long time, but things are moving now. Now, the Digital Pound Foundation actually highlights that this week, the Bank of Japan published the results of its second phase. So the CBDC plot is coming here. We've been talking about central bank digital currency era coming on to us for some time. And right now, we are observing that they are edging closer to that tipping point where a lot of different countries is actually providing you with the opportunity to use CBDCs. Just pilot program, agreed. Now here, Rahul and team actually highlights a different topic. Now Rahul does believe like, okay, market is about to actually move higher. We are going to get more liquidity into the market. Things are actually going to change, right? But then we also understand the fact that, okay, there is something like this which has been important throughout the history, like the yield curve inversion. Then you actually see unemployment rates going higher. And that's where this happens. Like, if you're already running late on your payments and then the bad stuff happens, you lose your job. Now what happens? That is exactly what we are looking at, right? That is a possible outcome. The purchase of monthly applications are down, so people are not really looking at a great economy on the side. They're looking for something bad coming in. They're preparing for that. And at that time, if things go bad, that means, yeah, we are still going to have this concern. But if Fed actually decides to do another 25 basis points hike, that is going to actually overshoot on the tightening side of things, which means, yeah, markets may actually slow down. There is going to be some kind of volatility coming in. Technically, while you actually look at Bitcoin on the weekly, we do see possibilities, right? We do see a bullish narrative building up, which is an engulfing candle, breaking to the upside, all those happening here. But let me actually ask you something. We actually got an engulfing candle here, which is still intact, right? We haven't actually raised that sector. So now we go on a monthly chart to see like, okay, what does the higher time frame structure shows us? Yeah, even though once you get this reversal candle, you may still get a higher high or a retest and then get rejected. That's still possible. Historically, we have seen that. However, right now, even to complete the first leg down, we may actually see some more downside, right? Our support lies somewhere close like $22,000, $23,000. So yes, on the monthly horizon, we are watching like, okay, things are evolving. We may have some volatility, all those things, right? We haven't touched the support yet. So that's one of the reasons why we usually go on to the short-term structure to understand, okay, what are we really watching, right? Is that drop coming in right now? That is important to watch because, say, for example, while you actually look at the market, we kind of see like, yeah, this is true. The market kind of bottomed out here and afterwards, the market actually went up. And after going up, when it came back down, it made a higher low. So for me, that actually looks bullish because you actually put in a new high compared to this one, which is showing you like, okay, the market is trying to push higher. So if you actually manage to break this level, now we are trying to put in a structure in the market where it actually shows you like, okay, most likely I may actually start building a channel, and that's concerning. Yes, it will bounce to the upside a little bit, but when you are moving inside a channel, that means it's a corrective action and you still have some downside. There is a bigger probability unless more volume comes in and push this to the upside, invalidating the channel. So that is the perspective for Bitcoin. Now look at Ether. Yesterday we actually talked about this perspective in our video, saying I think like there is something building on here, right? And we can right now observe that on the charts. Say Ether is actually showing ye that possibility. We got a bounce from there. But what's even more important is that yes, we are bouncing on, but we are not actually gathering a lot of momentum. Because when you actually go on to the weekly chart, even Ether shows you that it came to the moving average, true. We bounced off from the moving average, true. However, the monthly volatility is there. You got a hammer and then you got a wild candle, which actually went to the upside, went to the downside. So right now it's confusing in the market as a timing to look at and say like whether we are going up or down. That's one of the reasons why we come on to the short-term charts to understand what we are looking for in the next couple of days or even a week. And it shows like, yeah, we are at a resistance. We are trying to break that resistance, but short term, it's actually forming a bearish pattern. This is a 3-candle reversal pattern. Whenever we have seen this, we have seen some kind of corrective action in the market. So if it actually come back down for Ether, it can actually be like somewhere like 1.8% to the downside. Now that's not much, right? Because even in that time, what Ether is doing is trying to make a possible pattern like this, which in fact will actually give you around 3 to 4% run to the upside. So if you actually take that 3 to 4% to the upside and plot it here, you're looking for something like $2,000 per Ether. Now again, that's a 4-hour chart. That's why your measured moves are so low. But then you actually try going on to a longer time horizon and you look at the daily chart and say, okay, if that's true and we are about to bounce, this can actually play. You may actually make a bottom. And that bottom means you are breaking this pattern, which means if you are able to break this pattern to the upside, altcoin market as a whole is going to gather momentum. You are at a resistance. We have already noticed the fact that XRP did that. It broke to the upside. So it's right now front running the market as of now. So that's bullish. However, if you are really looking at buying into assets, where should you be buying, right? You're more or less looking at the short-term charts and trying to understand like, okay, what are we really doing? Because one of the possibility here, as we suggested, is the rounded bottom. But however, with the divergence developing, I would actually say like, okay, let's actually wait till we get a confirmation, because if not, this level can actually give some pain. What does that mean? If you're going short and this goes up, now you're burned, right? So because of that, if you actually focus on this one and say like, okay, there is a possibility we may actually do a double top. I want to be on the safer edge, right? So if you didn't buy here because you were expecting the lower lows at the 0.4 level, the 0.42 level, that's bad. Agreed. But now it's time to have some patience. It's time to see what the market is doing as an overall market. But then look at XRP, because the sentiment here is changing and changing quickly. Why? As we have seen, the daily is moving bullish, the trend is to the upside. You may see some volatility like this for sure, but you're still moving to the upside. The short-term trend has changed. Now we are looking at the weekly, and remember what we talked while we actually saw the engulfing candle coming here. So while we actually got an engulfing candle here, we told you like we are going up, we are going up. If we actually reach here, that's going to be really bullish. And right now we reached there. And one of the biggest stuff I would say is we didn't actually get a divergence yet. We're still moving to the upside. So unless we get another candle to the downside, making a high here, we're still moving up like this, what we have seen. So till this point, you're moving higher, 1. And 2, you didn't actually need this level of strength to reach the previous high. Only with 60 in RSI, you reach the previous high, whereas last time you reached around 65. That shows some level of bullishness in the market. And if you actually look at the support line and bouncing off pattern in the RSI, it shows you we do have some room to the upside. We may actually go back up to 70, 72 in the RSI on the short term, which is actually bullish because when you actually look at it on the monthly, you're like, we are just at 50. We haven't even started the actual run up. And the monthly candle already shows you I'm turning bullish. So as soon as you see a break of 0.56, that's like on a monthly, now you're becoming more and more euphoric rather than just becoming slightly bullish. Because at that point, you're about to see some major shift in price action. The momentum is going to increase to that level where people would actually FOMO in. And this can be visible on the daily where you actually enter into the overbought territory like this. You actually go all the way up to 90, 95. And right now you're close to 70. So you're not that too deep to push to the upside. You only have to do one leg breaking through this resistance so that the market sentiment shifts. But the entire market has not shown you a pattern saying I'm going up or I'm going down. We are still inside this pattern. If you remember, we've been talking about the move in Bitcoin from this time. We actually bounced off and still we are in the same pattern. So if you actually go test this range and get rejected, now you're looking for 25,500. Right? And if you break that level, now you're going lower. Your supports lie here. So it can be somewhere close to 23,700, 23,500, or it can be somewhere around 24,500. So that's still a long way to the downside from where we are right now, because right now we are at $27,000 in Bitcoin. Now, while you keep that in mind and look at the weekly on Bitcoin to see, okay, if we are going to drop, will that actually make sense to say I'm going to fall back to that trend line? To retest that trend line, it's somewhere close to 24. Even if you wick down a little bit, that will still be seen as a healthy move in the market. Why? You're just coming back to the trend line. You're just cooling off after the quick run from 19K to 31K, coming back down to maybe 24K, which is actually healthy considering you started from 19 and went to 31. If you actually get a support close to 23, 24 and bounce off, that's really bullish. Now the macro trend in next 3 to 6 months is actually going to show you, yeah, some of those who told you to wait for next 10,000, 12,000 range, they will change their tone. They'll actually go pivoting saying, nah, this is the reason there is this happening in the market. We are actually going up, right? Unless it's something which we really don't know, like a world war blasting or a new health crisis coming in and all. That's like a black swan event, right? But if you actually look at this, the Fed rate hikes have been still going up. You still see CPI increasing in some countries like the UK and others. So if central banks decide to push the rates up a little bit more, markets will actually feel the pain, but not like when we see the same increase in the US markets, right? So be careful while you actually try to trade with this market. And if you are looking for like regular updates on charts, on events of whatever is happening on the market side of things, you can actually look at the Patreon. The link is actually given in the description below. And if you're watching this on Twitter, you can actually see that in the bio. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.